My ex left me for being too broke. A year later, she applied for a job at my company. She broke up with me over pancakes. Not metaphorically, actual pancakes. At a booth in Denny's on a rainy Tuesday, halfway through breakfast. She was stirring her coffee like it was a spell, and I should have known something was off. "I don't think this is working," she said, eyes down, voice flat. I blinked. "Wait, what?" "I need more stability, you know?" She finally looked up. "I'm almost 24. I can't keep pretending brunch and dreams are enough." I laughed, confused. "I'm literally building a company. You've seen me up all night coding." She shrugged. "Yeah, but it's not real. Not yet." Her tone was so casual, like she was ordering a different menu item. "I just feel like I'm carrying more in this relationship." She wasn't wrong. She paid for things sometimes. Rent when I was late, groceries now and then. But I was grinding. I had nothing handed to me. No rich parents, no trust fund. Just a cracked screen laptop and the belief that I could build something people actually needed. "I love you," I said quietly. "I'm trying." She sighed, already reaching for her bag. "Trying doesn't pay bills, Mason." "I'm sorry." And just like that, she walked out. Left me at the table, pancakes going cold. I remember staring at the butter melting and thinking, this is the most humiliating moment of my life. Spoiler, it wasn't. The next few months were a blur. I worked like an animal. No distractions, no social life. Just 18-hour days, instant ramen, and a giant whiteboard covered in features, bugs, deadlines. I crashed on friends' couches when I couldn't afford rent. Took freelance gigs to survive. There were days I didn't eat until 5 p.m. But slowly, things shifted. My app, a scheduling platform for freelancers, started getting traction. First, a dozen users, then hundreds. Then a client in LA offered to license the tech. I moved out of my shoebox apartment and into a studio with actual windows. Hired 2 interns. One of them built a marketing funnel that exploded our growth. I stopped checking my bank account with one eye closed. For the first time in my life, I had options. I didn't post about it much. No rise and grind captions. Just worked quietly. But one night, while scrolling Instagram half asleep, I saw her, Amanda, my ex, posing at a rooftop bar with some finance guy in a blazer. Caption: "Success isn't sexy unless you're invited to it." I stared at it for a long time. My stomach tightened. Not because I missed her, but because I remembered how small she made me feel. Like ambition wasn't real unless it came with a paycheck. I closed the app, got up, and worked for 5 more hours. Fast forward, almost a year. We were hiring again. The product had taken off. My company, my baby, had a real office. We were onboarding clients weekly. The job posting for operations coordinator went up Monday morning. Tuesday, I checked the incoming applications and nearly choked on my coffee. There it was, Amanda Taylor. Same last name, same school, same resume I helped her polish when we were together. She had applied through our site. Probably never realizing it would land straight in my inbox. I sat there, stunned. My first instinct was to delete it, move on, ghost it like she ghosted me. But then I saw her cover letter. "Mason," it started. "I don't know if you'll even see this, but I figured I'd try. I've been following the growth of your company. Congrats. It's incredible what you've built. I'd love a chance to talk about how I can contribute." No apology, no acknowledgement, just, "Hey, let's pretend none of it happened." I leaned back in my chair and laughed, loud, for the first time in weeks. She wanted in, and I had a decision to make. I didn't reply. Not right away. I just left her application sitting in the system, flagged in yellow. Like a landmine I wasn't sure I wanted to step on. I reread that cover letter a dozen times over the next 2 days. Each time, something different hit me. The flattery, the casual tone, the complete erasure of everything she said when she walked out of that Denny's. I can't keep pretending brunch and dreams are enough. That's what she said. But now she wanted to work for the dream? At first, I felt vindicated, like life had set up the perfect full circle moment for me to enjoy. Karma with a subject line. But the more I thought about it, the more complicated it felt. I didn't want to be petty. I wasn't trying to be some bitter ex with a grudge and a CEO title. But damn, it stung. My co-founder, Jordan, noticed me staring at my screen too long and walked over with his usual energy drink in hand. "Yo," he said. "You good?" I turned the monitor slightly so he could see the application. He scanned it for 2 seconds before raising his eyebrows. "Wait, that Amanda?" I nodded. Jordan let out a low whistle. "Damn, what are the odds?" "She left me because I was broke," I said quietly. "Now she wants a job." He smirked. "Bro, that's either a Netflix special or a trap. I don't want to be a jerk," I muttered. "But I also don't want to pretend like nothing happened." "Then don't pretend," he said. "Be honest. Bring her in. Let's see how real she is." I stared at him. "You're serious?" He grinned. "Dead serious. You want closure? Interview her." I scheduled the meeting for Thursday at 2 p.m. Our office was clean, minimalist. Exposed brick, glass walls, plants I still forgot to water. I made sure her name was on the guest list. Told reception to send her to the main conference room. I didn't tell her it was me conducting the interview. I waited until she was seated, resume in hand, nervously sipping the free sparkling water from the fridge. Then I walked in. The second she saw me, she froze. "Mason," she said, blinking like I was a ghost. I didn't think that I'd be the one reading your application," I finished for her, sitting down. She laughed nervously. "Honestly, no. I thought you'd be too busy to look at every applicant." "I make time," I said, flipping open the folder, "especially for familiar faces." There was a pause. Her cheeks flushed. She sat up straighter. "Well, I'm glad. This place is amazing. Seriously, I've been following your growth, and it's inspiring." "Appreciate that," I said, though I gotta say, surprised to see your name. She looked down. "Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should apply, but I thought maybe enough time has passed." "Enough time for what?" I asked. My voice was calm, but every word was sharp. "For things to not be weird." I tilted my head. "Do you want me to pretend you didn't leave me because I couldn't afford a nicer apartment?" Her eyes widened. "That's not fair." "No," I leaned back, "because I remember the exact words. You're chasing a dream that doesn't pay bills." She opened her mouth. "That's not fair." "No," I leaned back, "because I remember the exact words. Enough time for what?" I asked. "For things to not be weird?" I tilted my head. "Do you want me to pretend you didn't leave me because I couldn't afford a nicer apartment?" Her eyes widened. "That's not fair." "Huh? Dot." I tilted my head. "Do you want me to pretend you didn't leave me because I couldn't afford a nicer apartment?" Her eyes widened. "That's not fair." "No?" I leaned back, "because I remember the exact words. You're chasing a dream that doesn't pay bills." She opened her mouth. "That's not fair." "No?" I leaned back, because I then shut it, looked away. "I didn't mean it like that," she said finally. "I was scared. You were always working, always stressed. I felt like I was alone in that relationship. I nodded slowly. So instead of talking about it, you dipped. And now, you're here. She straightened up. Look, I'm not here to rehash the past. I'm here because I believe in what you're building, and I think I can bring value to your team. There it was again, that rehearsed confidence, like she was pitching herself at a networking event. I wondered if she rehearsed it in the mirror. Why us? I asked. Why now? She blinked. Because I miss working with people who actually care. I've bounced around jobs that were just about pushing numbers. This feels different. I studied her. She looked the same. Sharp blazer, polished voice. But I could see it. The hint of desperation behind the charm. Like she needed this more than she wanted to admit. I tapped my pen on the table. Well, I said, you've got the qualifications. You're articulate. You know operations. She smiled faintly. So, what happens now? I closed the folder. You'll hear from us by the end of the week. And I walked out. I didn't need time to decide. I just needed time to figure out how I wanted to handle it. Because this wasn't just a job. It was a mirror. And I was finally standing on the other side. I didn't send her a rejection email. I sent her an invitation. 2 days later, Amanda walked into our Friday team meeting, eyes wide, posture stiff. She wasn't dressed for an interview this time. No blazer, no heels. Just jeans and a sweater, like she wasn't sure what role she was stepping into. The team was mid-demo when I called her name. Amanda Taylor, everyone, I said, like it was any other intro. She's shadowing today. Murmurs. A couple polite waves. My head of ops, Clara, glanced at me with a confused smile. Amanda stood frozen. I gestured to the empty seat beside her. Come on, we don't bite. She sat down. I spent the next hour walking her through the real work. The spreadsheets, the onboarding flow, the brutal back-end bottlenecks. I wasn't trying to impress her. I wanted her to see what this life actually looked like. The late nights, the endless tweaks, the ugly growing pains. By lunch, she looked tired. Still want the job? I asked, sliding her a sandwich. She took a bite, chewed, swallowed hard. I underestimated what you built, she said quietly. I nodded. You did. Silence settled between us. She didn't meet my eyes. Why'd you really apply? I asked, not harshly, just direct. She hesitated. I got laid off 3 months ago, she said finally. The guy I was dating, well, let's just say his money wasn't really his. Turns out being comfortable is only fun when it's stable. I nodded, but said nothing. And I kept seeing your name, she added. People tagging you, articles, I couldn't ignore it. I thought, maybe if I came back, things could go back to how they were. That sentence hit me harder than I expected. Back to how they were? I repeated. She looked down. Not like that. Just safe, familiar. You were always safe. I stared at her for a long moment. Amanda, I said, do you remember that day at Denny's? She flinched. Yeah. You told me trying wasn't enough. That dreams don't pay bills. That you needed someone already there, not someone building. She closed her eyes. Well, I said, I got there without you. Her eyes opened slowly. I know, and I'm sorry. And maybe she was. I don't know. Maybe she meant it. But the thing is, I didn't need the apology. I already had the peace. Later that day, I walked her to the elevator. We'll keep your resume on file, I said calmly, but we're going in a different direction. She nodded slowly. No protest, no pitch, just quiet acceptance. She stepped inside. Before the doors closed, She looked at me one last time. "You were always better than me," she said. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. The door shut, and that was that. That night, I stayed late at the office. Lights low, playlist on. I stared at the whiteboard, now filled with messy ideas, timelines, scribbles in 4 different colors. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like closure. Not because she wanted back in, but because I didn't want her there. She had seen me at my lowest and walked away. And now I was standing, whole and solid, and I got to choose who stood next to me. The next week, we hired someone else, a single mom from Arizona who nailed the test task and cried when we offered her the job. She said, "This is going to change everything." And I believed her. Sometimes the win isn't proving someone wrong. It's living well enough that you don't even care if they're watching. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't building to be seen. I was building because I finally knew I was worth something, with or without the applause.